You know, it's awfully tough to be a presidential candidate worth $250 million when income inequality and poverty are at record levels. Of course, it's tougher still when you're Mitt Romney. After all, in words and in deeds, Romney for years has consistently reminded Americans of the guy who laid you off. Now, with 3 presidential debates under his belt and less than 2 weeks to go before Election Day 2012, here are just some of the ways you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When the $250 million son of an auto magnate jokes about being unemployed, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he stages a photo op with an unemployed single mom in Michigan, who also happens to be the mother of a paid campaign staffer, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he won't release his tax returns during any of his runs for office.
Governor Romney, when will we see yours?
When my taxes are complete for this year, and I know that if I'm the nominee, the president's going to want to insist that I show what my income was this last year and so forth. When they're completed this year in April, I'll release my returns in April and probably for other years as well. And I know that's what's going to come. Every time the Democrats are out there trying their very best to try and attack people because they've been successful. And I have been successful. But let me tell you, the challenge in America is not people have been successful. The challenge in America, and President Obama doesn't want to talk about this, is you got a president who's played 90 rounds of golf while there are 25 million Americans out of work. And you've got, and while the price of gasoline has doubled, he said no to the Keystone Pipeline. And while we've got $15 trillion of debt, he said, look, I'm going to put another $1 trillion of debt for Obamacare. That's the problem in America, not the attacks they make on people who've been successful.
But some of the questions about when you release your taxes have not come. The president has raised them. His campaign has raised them. You're right on that. But so have some of your rivals up here. Speaker Gingrich has said you owe them to the people of South Carolina before they vote. Governor Perry made that point as well before he left the race. Why not should the people of South Carolina, before this election, see last year's return?
Because I want to make sure that I beat President Obama. And every time we release things, drip by drip, the Democrats go out with another array of attacks. As has been done in the past, if I'm the nominee, I'll put these out at one time so we have one discussion of all of this. I obviously pay all full taxes. I'm honest in my dealings with people. People understand that. My taxes are carefully managed. And I pay a lot of taxes. I've been very successful, and when I have our taxes ready for this year, I'll release them.
Speaker Gingrich, is that good enough?
Look, he's got to decide, and the people of South Carolina have to decide. But if there's anything in there that is going to help us lose the election, we should know it before the nomination. And if there's nothing in there, why not release it? I mean, it's a very simple model. But he's got to decide, it's his decision, and everybody's got to run their own campaign based on what they think is a reasonable risk. I released mine this evening. We also released the little small charitable foundation we have so people can see what we do and how we did it and what our values are.
Governor Romney, you mentioned the Democratic attacks. I want to ask you to go back in history a little bit. Back in 1967, your father set a groundbreaking, what was then a groundbreaking standard in American politics. He released his tax returns. He released them for not 1 year, but for 12 years. And when he did that, he said this: 1 year could be a fluke, perhaps done for show. When you release yours, will you follow your father's example?
Maybe. I don't know how many years I'll release. I'll take a look at what our documents are. And I'll release multiple years. I don't know how many years, but I'll be happy to do that. And let me tell you, I know there are some who are very anxious to see if they can't make it more difficult for a campaign to be successful. I know the Democrats want to go after the fact that I've been successful. I'm not going to apologize for being successful. And I'm not suggesting these people are doing that, but I know the Democrats will go after me on that basis, and that's why I want to release these things all at the same time. And my dad, as you know, born in Mexico, poor, didn't get a college degree, became head of a car company. I could have stayed in Detroit like him and gotten pulled up in the car company. I went off on my own. I didn't inherit money from my parents. What I have, I earned. I worked hard in the American way, and I'm going to be able to talk to President Obama in a way no one else can that's in this race right now. about how the free economy works, what it takes to put Americans back to work, and make sure he understands that this divisiveness of dividing Americans between 99 and 1 is dangerous. We are one nation under God.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he decides he will not seek donations to repay $45 million in personal loans he made to his failed presidential bid in 2008, the biggest ever made by a candidate in a primary campaign. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he responds, "I'm not concerned about the voters," after Tim Russert asked him, "Why not tell the voters of Florida and across the country how much of your own wealth you're spending?" You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his wife Ann jokes that Mitt doesn't even know the answer to that when asked how many dressage horses she owns, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he sells 2 of his 4 multi-million-dollar mansions because he and his wife are, according to an aide, downsizing and simplifying, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he apparently forgets which state he lives in, votes in, and pays taxes in, twice, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he says Democrats are the party of the monarchists, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he claims that his 5 sons served their nation by, quote, helping me get elected because they think I'd be a great president, unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he calls for state pension funds to divest their holdings in companies doing business in Iran, only to learn that his former employer is doing just that, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he calls for a crackdown on illegal immigration, only to reply, "Aw, geez," when informed undocumented workers have been landscaping his home, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he starts uncomfortably chanting "Who let the dogs out" during what looks like his only interaction with African Americans on the campaign trail, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he still chants "Who let the dogs out" after the world learns he strapped the family dog to the roof of his car, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his own advisor, Michael Murphy, informed Massachusetts voters in 2005 that Romney's been a pro-life Mormon faking it as a pro-choice friendly, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he said of Osama bin Laden in 2007, quote, "It's not worth moving heaven and earth spending billions of dollars just trying to catch one person," unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he panders to the NRA by proudly declaring, quote, "I've been a hunter pretty much all my life," only to clarify 2 days later, quote, "I've always been a rodent and rabbit hunter, small varmints, if you will," unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he explained that while he placed Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard's work among his favorite novels, quote, "I'm not in favor of his religion by any means, but he wrote a book called Battlefield Earth that was a very fun science fiction book," you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he says, quote, "My life experience convinced me that Ronald Reagan was right," and giving himself a 10 out of 10 on the conservative scale, a decade after proclaiming during his 1994 Senate run, quote, "I was an independent during the time of Reagan-Bush," unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he runs an ad in Spanish which concludes, "Soy Mitt Romney y apruebo este mensaje," which is Spanish for "I'm Mitt Romney and I approve this message," after demanding that, quote, "English needs to be the language that is spoken in America. We cannot be a bilingual nation like Canada," unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch.
Romney cree en nosotros.
Soy Mitt Romney y apruebo este mensaje. Muchas gracias.
When he declares himself part of the 80 to 90% of us who are middle class, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he declares "I love a flat tax" after calling it a tax cut for fat cats, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When the estimated 14% tax rate he paid the IRS is lower than Warren Buffett's, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his tax cut proposal, supposedly focused on the people in the middle, could save his own family tens of millions of dollars, and delivers 2/3 of his benefits to millionaires, including himself. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he lies about federal employees making more than their private sector counterparts and then complains about, quote, our servants who are making a lot more money than we are, unquote. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his advice to struggling American homeowners is,
one is don't try and stop the foreclosure process. Let it run its course and hit the bottom, allow investors to buy homes, put renters in them, fix the homes up, and let it turn around and come back up.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he planned to run in 2008 against Hillary Clinton by claiming Hillary equals France, despite his having addressed the 2002 Winter Olympics in fluent French. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his defense is, I'm running for office for Pete's sake, I can't have illegals.
So we went to the company and we said, look, you can't have any illegals working on our property. I'm running for office for Pete's sake, I can't have illegals.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he claims he opposes a religious test for office after having said, based on the numbers of American Muslims in our population, I cannot see that a cabinet position would be justified. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he comes out in support of anti-abortion personhood amendments after previously having told Americans he was pro-choice because, quote, I had a dear close family relative that was very close to me who passed away from an illegal abortion, unquote. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he tells his guests in the Hamptons that I spend a lot of time worrying about those that are poor after previously declaring I'm not concerned about the very poor.
I'm in this race because I care about Americans. I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When one of his Hamptons donors explains the common person and the lower income voter don't understand what's going on, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he expresses his disdain for those common people who wear polyester and plastic rain ponchos while praising his friends who own NASCAR and NFL teams, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he criticizes President Obama's call to let the Bush tax cuts expire for only the top 2% of earners as a massive tax increase for families, job creators, and small businesses, while proposing an average $264,000 annual windfall for the top 0.1%. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his surrogate Haley Barbour says Mitt's tax returns don't amount to diddly, the same expression he used to describe slavery after his state of Mississippi omitted mention of it in his Confederate Heritage Month declaration. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he defends his supposedly blind trust investments by claiming, I don't even know where they are, after having accused Ted Kennedy in 1994 of running an age-old ruse with a blind trust that appeared to be not quite so blind.
If you're so interested in talking about the issues, because that's all I have talked about up until 1 week ago when we revealed from an article in one of the Boston papers something about your blind trust that appeared not to be quite so blind.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his supposedly blind trust transferred 12,000 shares in a Bermuda company to his wife's blind trust the day before he was sworn in as governor in 2003, closed a $3 million Swiss bank account in 2010, and invested $10 million in his son Tag's new firm, Solomir Capital. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he tells college students to borrow money if you have to from your parents and start a business.
This kind of divisiveness, this attack of success, is very different than what we've seen in our country's history. We've always encouraged young people, take a shot, go for it, take a risk, get the education, borrow money if you have to from your parents, start a business.
You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he tells high school students to, quote, get as much education as you can afford, or, quote, if you can't afford it, scholarships are available, shop around for loans. Make sure you go to a place that's reasonably priced, and if you can, think about serving the country, because that's the way to get all that education for free. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he joined pro-Vietnam War protesters at Stanford, only to then secure multiple deferments to perform his church mission in France. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his wife Ann explains that when Mitt was at Harvard, she was able to avoid the quote-unquote dignity of work because, quote, Mitt had enough of an investment from stock that we could sell off a little at a time. The stock came from Mitt's father, unquote. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When this Harvard Law and Business School graduate repeatedly accuses Barack Obama of spending too much time in the Harvard faculty lounge, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he explains the refusal to release his tax returns by declaring, I don't put out which toothpaste I use either, it's not that I have something to hide, unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his father released 12 years of tax returns, and he himself gave John McCain 23 years' worth in a failed attempt to become his 2008 running mate, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he claims that his donations to his church and other groups mean that his tax rate is really closer to 45 or 50%, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he has his wife Ann do interviews in 2002 and 2006 touting his pro-choice credentials and his essential individual health insurance mandate in Massachusetts, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When his wife Ann laments unfortunately that the world now knows how successful in business her husband has been, but nevertheless wants to remind you where our riches are. Our riches are with our families. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When Ann insists they won't travel abroad as first couple because, quote, our vacations and our happiness come from being with our children and our grandchildren, and as if she and her husband own places for that, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he jokes he never intended to run for office again after 2008 because, quote, I went back and bought a home which was far too expensive and grandiose for the purposes of another campaign, unquote, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When one of his often seven-figure horses is on the U.S. Olympic team, and the Romney's potential $77,000 tax deduction for horse-related expenses exceeds the average household income in America, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he was raised in upscale Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, claims he's just a guy from Detroit, and then authors an op-ed piece titled, Let Detroit Go Bankrupt. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he then claims, I'll take a lot of credit for the Obama rescue package which saved the American auto industry, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he pretends he had to worry about getting a pink slip, but still gets a chuckle thinking about those who did, when his father moved AMC jobs from Michigan to Wisconsin, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. When he looks back fondly at being with his dad at Detroit's Golden Jubilee, a celebration marking the 50th anniversary of the American automobile, which occurred on June 1st, 1946, fulfilling 9 months before he was born, you know Mitt Romney is out of touch. And finally, when he starts flip-flopping on flip-flopping by claiming, quote, I think you'll find that I've been as consistent as human beings can be after having declared, quote, if you're looking for someone who's never changed any positions on any policies, then I'm not your guy, unquote. You know Mitt Romney is out of touch. Thank you very much.
Stop it. This is hard. You want to try it? Get in the ring. This is hard. And, you know, it's an important thing that we're doing right now, and it's an important election. And it is time for all Americans to realize how significant this election is and how lucky we are to have someone with Mitt's qualifications and experience and know-how to be able to have the opportunity to run this country.